Homage to our teacher, Pingat Lokuswaming Wahanse, Most Venerable Kiribadguru Jnanananda Thero, for teaching us this noble Dhamma. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, so we all, for many weeks now, we've been learning the teachings of the Buddha. So in all of these suttas that we have discussed up to this point, essentially what you learn is about the Buddha, his qualities, and his way of living, how he actually interpreted the world, his understanding of the world, and basically his realization. A realization that he gained by himself. The revelation of a Buddha is very unique. The things a Buddha teaches us, no one else in the world teach such teachings or discuss such matters. That is why the Buddhas are very unique. They talk of a reality that exists in this world forever. It's timeless, the truth the Buddhas teach. So also we learn about the Dhamma, his teachings actually. What indeed did he teach us? And we also learn about the qualities of the Sangha, the disciples of the Buddha, the Arahants, who reap the benefits of his teachings by practicing the noble path shown by the Buddha. So our fondness, our love toward this triple gem is our only protection, our only refuge. That is why we go for refuge to the triple gem. Why do we seek refuge? Because now after listening to the teachings of the Buddha, after learning his teachings, we understand our predicament, that we are trapped in a woeful cycle of rebirth, and again we are born in the plagues of misery. Hell worlds, the animal world, the ghost worlds, where we have to suffer immensely. And there is no discernible beginning to be seen in this woeful samsaric journey that we have come thus far, suffering. Again and again we are reborn. We age, we get sick, and we die. Again we are reborn. More often than not in the plagues of misery. So it is seeing this danger in life that we go for refuge to the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, because we know, having heard the teachings of the Buddha, that that is the only salvation for us. That is why then we, having gone for refuge to the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, then observe the precepts and abide by them. So if we are able to base ourselves in these four factors, that is going for refuge to triple gem, and protecting the precepts, then these are called the salient features, the fundamental aspects of a stream entrant. Developing these qualities, and once you firmly establish yourself upon these qualities, then you become stream entrant. The nature of a stream entrant is then again and again he is reminded. It comes to his mind, it's a natural phenomena. He always thinks of the Buddha. He always thinks of the Dhamma, its qualities. He always think and contemplate upon the qualities of the Arahants, the Sangha, the life, the pure life they led, So in this way, his mind is full of thoughts of the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. That is the nature when you once you realize the teachings of the Buddha. It's something that happens inadvertently. Why? Because you have uncovered, you yourself now see the truth of the world. You see that things are impermanent. They are subject to change. And there is no self to be seen here. You understand that for yourself, and then you are reminded again and again. It is the Buddha who realized this first, and it is he who taught me this. And I experience an ultimate bliss because I realized this Dhamma. So you are again and again reminded of the Buddha, the Dhamma, and of the Arahant, the Sangha. That happens when you become a stream entrant. But before that, you have to train your mind to think of the qualities of the Buddha. Because it is when you think upon the qualities of the Buddha that your mind become conditioned so that you can develop the wholesome qualities within your life. Or else the deceitful nature of the mind is there. The mind is deceitful, crafty, shifty, devious. But when you contemplate upon the qualities of the Buddha, when you reminisce his qualities, when you think of the Buddha, what happens is your mind gets straightened. That means you become a person that is truthful, honest. What you speak, you act upon. Like your thought, your speech, and your actions, they will align. Then only you can progress in the noble path. Or else you become devious, deceitful. And you can't progress in the path. That is why Buddha said, if a person who is honest and wise comes to me in the morning, I will teach him the Dhamma. And within hours, within that day, he realized the Dhamma. So what does it mean that you align your thoughts, actions, and speech? What does it mean to be honest with you? It means if you have truly gone for refuge to the Buddha, when an unwholesome thought, say anger arises in your mind, maybe lust, then the first thing that should come to your mind is, my teacher, Buddha, to whom I have gone for refuge, he eradicated greed and lust and delusion. And he taught us to eradicate greed, lust, and delusion. So then and there, you will not harbor that unwholesome thought. If you harbor that thought, that means you are far away from your teacher. You are not a person who associate with your teacher, the Buddha, with the thought of loving kindness. Buddha said, if you follow my teachings, then you are associating with me with thoughts of loving kindness. If you do not follow, if you harbor thoughts of defilements, that means you are not following my teachings, which means you are associating me in a wrongful way with animosity. Vairi Patipada, Buddha said. So it is not how you should associate Buddha. So when an unwholesome thoughts come to your mind, you have to abandon them. And you do so by contemplating and thinking upon the Buddha. The teacher, the Buddha to whom I have gone for refuge, he eradicated defilements. And then only then, if you contemplate upon his teaching, Buddha, his qualities, then you will then reflect upon the Dhamma. The teachings, what he actually taught, how to abandon greed, how to abandon anger, what are the consequences of harboring these unwholesome thoughts. Then Dhamma comes to your mind. If you are not reminded of the Buddha, then Dhamma will not come to your mind. And then you will contemplate upon the Sangha. Oh, the Sangha, the Arahants too, my went for refuge. They also, by practicing this Dhamma, eradicated greed, anger, and delusion once and forever. That is what it means, going for refuge to the Triple J. So then, would you break the precepts, the 5 precepts? No. Why? The precepts are broken when your mind is overwhelmed with greed, lust, or delusion. That is when the precepts are broken. So if you are a person who contemplate upon this, the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, your precepts will never be broken. So that is how you align your actions by body, speech, and mind, and be a person worthy or person capable of progressing in the Noble Eightfold Path. So think, how often do you contemplate or think of the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha, the triple gem to which you have gone for refuge? Or else then you will live a devious character, be crafty by nature. You will be like, you would be like double nature. You might practice Dhamma for a while and you would not for a while. So like if you live a life where you do good and bad both, then it's a mixed bag. And in the suttas it says like such people are born among the Naga world. Nagas, serpents. And they always live, their like mind is always filled with lust. They crave, like they are so engaged in sexual activities, and they have a lot of lust in the Naga world. And they find it difficult to give up attachment. And they are always regretful. So this happens when you have not aligned your actions by body, speech, and mind in the human life. If you continue to cultivate such qualities, that's where you are likely to be born. That is why once going for refuge to the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, you should be focused on doing good actions, wholesome actions by body, speech, and mind. That is what it means to go for refuge to Triple J. If you say for some part of the day you do the good deeds, then at times you do bad deeds as well. So it's a mixed bag. So then you are in trouble. Then you are not guaranteed life in the among the heavenly beings. If you want to be born among the devas, then you have to always do only good and refrain from the bad deeds. Cultivate good deeds. Always contemplate upon the teachings of the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. It is very difficult to be born among the devas. It's not an easy thing. So if you are reminded of the Buddha again and again, then you are on the right path. That is the yardstick for you to understand. How often do you contemplate or think about the Buddha, his qualities? So we learn these suttas. So when we learn these suttas, we learn of the Buddha, his nature. And when we again and again think of the suttas, we are thinking of his qualities. Then we are safe. Then gradually our mind matures. It becomes strong. A strong mind will not be overwhelmed by the defilements. So that strength, that perseverance that comes with contemplating on the qualities of the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. So that is why we learn these teachings, so that then we can then reflect upon the qualities of the Buddha, his teachings, and the Arahants, their nature. Even in this sutta, we come across all this. The nature of the Buddha, what is his teachings, and how were the Arahants. So today we are going to learn sutta. The name of sutta is Culasaccaka Sutta. So this is from the Majjhima Nikaya, the middle end discourses of the Buddha. So Culasaccaka Sutta means the shorter discourse to Saccaka. So Saccaka is a very famous debater who lived in the time of the Buddha in the city of Vesali. He lived. He was known for his debating skills. So those days, people like nowadays, they didn't have many things to do to enjoy. Like nowadays, it's very diverse, the things people do to enjoy the sensual pleasures. Back in the day, it was not that diverse. It was a simple life. They would have festivals and they would go to see acrobats and those stuff were there, but not as complicated as it is now. So one among these entertaining aspects, one thing was like they would go to see debates. Okay, so it was a huge thing, a huge draw those days. People would flock to see people debating, and the people who were skilled in debate, they were hailed. They were like thought of saints even. So they were much respected and revered by the people. So such was the person. Saccaka was like that. He was very renowned, famous. So it is about how Buddha, how his interaction with the Saccaka that we learn today in this sutta. So this is how it is. Thus have I heard on one occasion, Blessed One was living in Vesali. So the Buddha was also living in Vesali, the same city where the Saccaka was also living. So Buddha was actually residing in the great wood, in the hall with the peak roof. So in these woods, there was a special building. That building had a peak roof, and therefore it was named after, the building was named after this roof. So it is called the building, the hall with the peaked roof. So that's where the Buddha was dwelling at that time. So Saccaka was he always talked highly of himself. He belittled others. That was his nature. He thought there was no one better than him. So this guy was a very fat person. You know, have you seen like sumo wrestlers? Maybe like that. He had huge belly and he wore a belt. You know, like sumo wrestlers, they also wear a belt to support their drooping huge stomach, the belly. Likewise, Saccaka also wore a belt. And he would say, look, my wisdom is so much, like my mind is not enough to retain that volume. That's why my belly is also hanging. It's full of wisdom. That's what he said. So he was such a person. He was very educated though. So therefore people feared him, feared that he was educated and his debating skills. No one was going to question his words. Everyone thought like he is undebatable. No one can win trying to debate with him. That was what everyone believed in. So he was much revered and respected those days. So it says, see, now on that occasion, Saccaka, the Niganta's son, was staying at Vesali. So when he say Niganta's son, doesn't mean he's the son of Niganta. Means he's a disciple of Niganta. So he believed in the teachings of the Niganta. A debater and a clever speaker, regarded by many as a saint, he was making this statement before the Vesali assembly. When people got together, gathered together, he would say this, what? I see no recluse or Brahmin, the head of an order, the head of a group, the teacher of a group, even one claiming to be accomplished and fully enlightened, who would not shake, shiver, and tremble, and sweat under the armpits if he were to engage in debate with me. Even if I were to engage a senseless post in debate, it would shake, shiver, and tremble if it were to engage in debate with me. So what shall I say of a human being? So this was his thoughts. So see how arrogant this guy was? Like he thought there is no one that who can debate with me. Because he thought there was no one who could debate with him. And he thought like he said like even if there was a lifeless post, if you were to debate with the post, the lifeless post, even the post would shake and shiver. So see how arrogant this person was. So that's why even if I were to engage the senseless post in debate, it would shake, shiver, and tremble. If it were to engage in debate with me, so what shall I say of a human being? So even if a post would shiver, what of a human being? That's what he says here. So one day, anyhow, he meets a monk. Then when it was morning, the Venerable Assaji, dressed and taking his bowl and outer robe, went into Vesali for alms. As Satchaka the Niganta's son was walking and wandering for exercise in Vesali, he saw the Venerable Assaji coming in the distance and went up to him and exchanged greetings with him. So Venerable Assaji, he was going for alms, and Satchaka was also going for a walk, for an exercise. So that has been even in the time of the Buddha, that people would go for a walk as means of an exercise, as we do now today. So Satchaka, what did he say? Like he said before, when he went to see groups of people, when he among an assembly, he would say, "Look, there are many people who came to be arahants, monks who say that they are enlightened, who say they are Samma Sambuddha, but no one can debate with me. No one is wise enough. No one is skillful enough to debate with me." That's what he said. So he saw this an opportunity to prove himself. So he goes to Venerable Assaji and says, he does his first introduces himself. "I am Satchaka so and so." And then he says, when this courteous and amiable talk was done, he says, Satchaka the Niganta's son stood at one side and said to Venerable Assaji, "Master Assaji, how does the recluse Gautama discipline his disciples?" How does Buddha discipline his disciples? And how is the recluse Gautama's instruction usually presented to his disciples? How does he discipline his disciples and how does he teach? What is his teaching? So Venerable Assaji answers, "This is how the Blessed One disciplines his disciples." Aggivesana is the family name of Satchaka. Okay, he says Aggivesana. This is how the Blessed One instructs us usually. This is how we present it to his disciples. So this is Buddha's teaching. Because material form is impermanent. Feeling is impermanent. Perception is impermanent. Volitional formations are impermanent. Consciousness is impermanent. Because material form is not self. Feeling is not self. Perception is not self. Volitional formations are not self. Consciousness is not self. All things that are conditioned, all phenomena, all formations are impermanent. Sabbe sankhara anicca. All formations are impermanent. All things are not self. Sabbe dhamma anatta. This is the teaching of the Buddha. That is how the Blessed One disciplines his disciples. That is how he teaches, said Assaji. So having heard this is the response of Satchaka. How does he respond? He says, if we have heard what the recluse Gautama asserts, we have indeed heard what is disagreeable. It is very disagreeable. It is not a pleasing thing to hear. That is what he actually teaches, he says. Perhaps sometime or other we might meet Master Gautama and have some conversation with me. Maybe I would one day meet with him, so I can actually teach him what is right and wrong. Perhaps we might detach him from that evil view, he says. I can correct him. So he thinks he can even teach the Buddha.
because he believed in a different view, a totally different view he had. That is the nature of people, no? They believe in different views and opinions. Even now, people have diverse opinions. And whatever they believe, they think that is the sole truth. And they think all others' views are wrong. That everyone else have got it wrong, whereas I know what is right and wrong. What I believe to be truthful is the only truth in the world. That's what people believe. That's how people cling to opinions and views. So Saccaka also said, it is the evil view that the Blessed One has. One day if I meet him, I will correct him. Surely, he said. So it so happened that same day, the Lichavis, now at that time 500 Lichavis had met together in an assembly hall for some business or other. So they had got together in an assembly hall and they were discussing a certain matter. Then Saccaka went to them and said, come forth, good Lichavis, come forth. Today there will be some conversation between me and the recluse Gautama. I am going to engage him in a debate. If the recluse Gautama maintains before me what was maintained before me by one of his famous disciples, a bhikkhu named Assaji, then just as like say, if he tells them, okay, I met this disciple of the Buddha, he's very famous, he's Assaji. He said Buddha has such a view that the material form is impermanent, feeling is impermanent, perception is impermanent, volitional formations, consciousness is impermanent, and there is no self. So if he believes in this way, I will engage him in debate. And by doing so, then just as the strong man might seize a long hair ram by the hair and drag him to and drag him fro and drag him round about, so in debate I will drag the recluse Gautama to and drag him fro and drag him round about. Just like he would grab a goat with long body hair and drag it to and fro and round about, he would also drag the Blessed One here and there. See his conceit? Then he gives another simile. Just as a strong brewer's workman might throw a big brewer's sieve into a deep water tank and taking it by the corners, drag it to and drag it fro and drag it round about. So in debate, I will drag the recluse Gautama to and fro and about. Just as a strong brewer's mixer might take a strainer, that is one simile, okay? I'm not familiar with what a brewer does. If you know, then you would understand. Then the next thing, I think something you can understand. Next simile, he gives another simile. Just as a strong brewer's mixer might take a strainer by the corners and shake it down and shake it up and thump it up about, so in debate I will shake the recluse Gautama down and shake him up and thump him about. So that's like when you like think of a tea strainer, you put the tea powder, and when you want to take it out, when it's the leftover, that's how you clean it, no? You take it up, you put it down, you thump it about. Likewise, I would drag, I would shake the recluse Gautama up and down and thump him about, he said. So he gives another simile. And just as a 60-year-old elephant might plunge into a deep pond and enjoy playing the game of hemp washing, so I shall enjoy playing the game of hemp washing with the recluse Gautama. Come forth, good Lichavis, come forth. Today, there will be some conversation between me and the recluse Gautama. So just like a huge elephant would get into the water, and you see how the elephants bathe. They flap their ears and they wash themselves in that way. He said, I would also, just as an elephant would play with the water, I would also play with recluse Gautama. So come with me, you can see this. So the Lichavis actually joined him, these 500 Lichavis. And among these Lichavis, some were faithful towards the Buddha. Some had heard of the Buddha at least. So they had confidence in the Buddha and his abilities, his skills, and of course his wisdom, his realization. And some say this is never going to happen. This guy is a fool. He doesn't understand who the Buddha is. Surely, who is he to debate with the Buddha? While as some who believed a lot, who respected Saccaka said, oh, it is indeed true what he says. No one's going to win with Saccaka. No one can debate with Saccaka. So it says here, thereupon some literally said, who is the recluse Gautam that he could refute Saccaka the Niganta's son's assertions? On the contrary, Saccaka the Niganta's son will refute the recluse Gautama's assertions. And some literally said, who is Saccaka the Niganta's son that he could refute the Blessed One's assertions? On the contrary, the Blessed One will refute Saccaka, his assertions. Then Saccaka, along with the 500 Lichavis, now he goes to meet the Buddha. So where is the Buddha at this moment? Where is he?
In the great hall.
Huh? In the great woods. In the hall, no, there's a building with the peak roof in the woods. Okay, this is in the forest.
Yes.
So it says here, now on that occasion, a number of bhikkhus were walking and up and they were walk meditating. Okay, bhikkhus were walk meditating at that moment. Then Saccaka the Niganta's son, Niganta's disciple, went up to them and asked, where is Master Gautama? Where is he now? I would like to meet him. So the bhikkhus say, the Blessed One at the moment, he has gone into the forest and he is meditating in seclusion, they say. Saccaka then he goes there with the 500 entourage of Lichavis. Then Saccaka the Niganta, together with a large following of Lichavis, entered the great woods and went to the Blessed One. He exchanged greetings with the Blessed One. He talked with the Buddha, and some introduced the others who went with him. Some introduced themselves by name, and some paid respect to the Buddha. Some just bowed him. Some didn't talk; just they sat aside. So each one, like they acted differently according to their faith in the Buddha. Some thought that we don't have to respect him; we'll just sit and listen, see what's going to happen. Some worship the Buddha, some just bowed. And likewise, so they all settled anyway. Okay, they sat down. When Saccaka had sat down, he said to the Blessed One, I would like to question Master Gautama on a certain point. If Master Gautama would grant me the favor of an answer to my question, if you could please answer my question. Then Buddha says, Aggyavesana. So Buddha addressed him by his family name. That's Aggyavesana. Ask what you like, Aggyavesana. How does Master Gautama discipline his disciples? So Buddha knows what he's going to begin. Buddha knows that he wants to begin a debate and he wants to belittle the Buddha. So he can further spread this fame, because now people are watching. There's 500 a group of people there. The Lichavis are there. So he wants to belittle the Buddha and show that I am the person that is wiser. No one can debate with me. So he is asking this specific question. Why? He is posing the same question. He asked Venerable Asajitero, what does the Buddha actually teach us? So Buddha also, he gives the same exact answer, not even changing a word. The same answer given by Asajitero, Buddha also answers in the same way. Buddha could have answered in any other way, no? Because he described the teachings in various manners, but he uses the exact words because he knows what's coming. So he answers, when he is asked, what do you teach? This is how I discipline my disciples, Aggyavesana. This is how I instruct them. Because material form is impermanent. Feeling is impermanent. Perception is impermanent. Volitional formations are impermanent. Consciousness is impermanent. So all things in this way are impermanent. All formations are impermanent. They are not self. This is the way I discipline my disciples. This is what I teach them. So he gave the exact answer given by Venerable Assaji Thero. So then Saccaka says, now he got the answer he was expecting. So he knew this is how Buddha would answer. He said, a simile occurs to me, Master Gautama. The Buddha says, okay, explain how it occurs to your Agdavesen. Okay, you can go on. Tell me the simile. So he says, just as when seeds and plants, whatever they are kind, reach growth, increase and mature, all do so in dependence upon the earth, based upon the earth. And just as when strenuous works, whatever they are kind are done, all are done in dependence upon the earth, based upon the earth, which means when a certain tree or plant grows, it grows based upon what? The earth, the soil. Likewise, any person, when he acts, okay, if a person wants to do something, he do so based on what? His material form as self, his feeling as self. Based upon feeling, he produces merit or demerit. Based upon his form, he produces merit or demerit. Based upon perception, he does actions meritorious and demeritorious. Considering that perception as a self. Considering consciousness, it says here, a person has perception as self, and based upon perception, he produces merit or demerit. A person has volitional formations as self, and based upon volitional formations, he produces merit or demerit. A person has consciousness as self, and based upon the consciousness which he considers to be a self, he does acts of merit and demerit. Just as a tree or a plant would grow based on the earth, so he also believed, Saccaka said, every person, every human being, based upon the form which he considers to be a self, they do acts both meritorious and demeritorious. Likewise, based upon feeling which they consider to be self, they act by demeritorious or meritorious. Both acts, good and bad, they do. Likewise. So this is his view. He believed there is a soul, a self. It is based upon a soul or a self that people act by body, speech, and mind. That was his notion, his view, his opinion. So he said so. So Buddha then asked Aggivessana, are you saying that material form is myself? Feeling is myself. Perception is myself. Volitional formations are myself. Consciousness is myself. Is that what you are trying to say? He said, yes, Master Gautama, I say so. I say that material form is self. Feeling is self. Consciousness is self. Volitional formations are self. Consciousness is self. That is what I say. Also, so does the great multitude. That means all things he consider there as a self. And he says so that is what I believe. And so this great multitude. That means the whole group of people who are with me, they also believe in the same. Okay, he's trying to drag the others also to his same opinion. So Buddha says, what has this great multitude to do with you, Aggisesana? What do they have to do with this? Like if you are going to talk with me, talk in person, Buddha said. Tell of your own opinion. You don't have to spread it to the others. So he says, the Master Gautama, okay, this is my view. Material form is myself, feeling is myself, perception is myself, volitional formations are myself, consciousness is myself. This is my view. I am of this view, he says. In that case, Aggivesan, I shall ask you a question, Buddha said. If that is so, then I will ask you this question. Answer it in any way you think is proper. So what do you think, Aggivesan? would the head anointed noble king, for example, like King Pasenadi of Kosala, King Ajatasattu of Vedahiputta of Magadha, exercise the power in his own realm to execute or to banish, to fine who should be fined, and to banish those who should be banished? So he asked the king, is a king who is the ruler of his kingdom, can he execute a person if he want to, on his own will? Can he banish a person on his own will? Can he fine a person on his will? Does he have that authority, that power, that skill, the ability to do so? Does he have control over the people who live in his kingdom? So then Satchaka says, Master Gautam, yes, a head anointed noble king, for example, King Pasenidi, Kosala, or King Ajatasattu, they would exercise the power in their own realm to execute who should be executed, to fine who should be fined, to banish who should be banned. For even these communities and societies such as the Vajjayans and the Malians exercise the power in their own realm to execute those who should be executed, to fine those who should be fined, to banish who should be banished. So all the more so should the head anointed king. Likewise, this is something that happens. This is something that is possible. So then Buddha asks, okay, Agiveshana, what do you think? When you say in this way, material form is myself, do you exercise any such power over the material form as to say, let my form be this way, let my form not be this way? Can you say so? Buddha asks. So if you consider that material forms to be self, then you are the owner. You have control over that. Can you then say that this form should be likewise? It should not be otherwise. That's the question with the pause. When this was said, Satchaka the Niganta's son was silent. He had no answer. Now, if we consider our form, this body of ours made up of the four elements, can we exercise control over this form? Like, may it be so, may it not be so. Everyone wants to be young forever, but can we have that? Okay. We may look at a person and wish, if I had such hair, if I had such long hair, can you have that? Like if you can exercise control over your hair, if it is safe, then you can willfully grow your hair. Can you? You can't do that. Some way resent when your hair falls out. Okay? And think, oh, it should be nice if my hair would not fall out. But you can't have control. No one wants to grow old for their hair to turn gray in color, but that happens. Why? Because you have no control. I recently saw an article where now, because the hair is graying, there's a new fashion where they change the color of the other hair, the good hair that has not grayed still, into gray color as well. So it fits a certain pattern. And it does look good for some time, I think. So in some way, people try to cling to a self, because rather than trying to understand the impermanence of the form, no matter whatever you do, all the cosmetics in the world can't keep you from aging. You know, divorces happen nowadays because it is not the same bride you marry, that once you take her home and then when she takes out her makeup, that's when they realize, like when it is an arranged marriage, maybe, I don't know. These are things that happen in the world. Like then they divorce because it's not the same person. Because of the makeup, she had looked very beautiful. But once they take off the makeup, it's a different person. These are real life things are like that's happened. And they have divorced thereafter. Haven't you seen videos on YouTube? There are videos how they would change the ordinary looking woman with makeup to look so very different and maybe gorgeous or beautiful even. So because people are deluded, they don't try to realize the reality. Rather, they try to fend it off, cover it up, conceal the reality. But that is not going to, that is a temporary thing you do. Like it is not a permanent solution. If you realize the impermanence of the body, then when your body actually gets, it will change. Impermanence means it will change. When it decline and degrade, because you have developed your wisdom, because you have come to terms of the reality of the body, then you will not suffer. Or else you definitely suffer. You don't have to get old for your body to change. Say you get sick today, you may be young and beautiful today, handsome. But if you catch a certain illness, say you get sick because of a cancer or any other disease, overnight you can lose your features, your beauty, the body you dearly cling to. So it is very clear that we do not exercise any control over this form. That's what Buddha says here. Can you exercise control over your form if you regard it to be a self, just as a king would over the citizens, like the countrymen in his kingdom? That's not possible. So think now you are here, listen to this Dhamma sermon. What happens if a blood clot gets stuck in a vein in your brain? Brain cell, what happens? You get paralyzed then and there. Have you seen what happens to such a person when you are paralyzed? Then you lose bladder control. The movement of your bowels. You don't know you are urinating. You don't know you are defecating. That's the nature of the body. If there was a self, if you could exercise control, you would never suffer. Because you can always control in such a way that you do not suffer. But because of the impermanence, the change that is there, that is apparent, then you suffer. Because of the very body that you love and care daily. You exercise, you take the right kind of food, you bathe daily, you take medicine when you get sick, but still, one day, like it is going to change. It happens all the time and you will suffer. That is the nature. So, Satchaka, he had no answer. Okay? When this was said, Satchaka, the Niganta's son was silent. Satchaka was speechless. The second time, the Blessed One again asked the same question. And the second time, Satchaka fell silent. So even for the second time, he could not. Then the Blessed One said to him, Agivesana, answer now. Now is not the time to be silent. If anyone, when asked a reasonable question, up to the third time by the Tathagata, a Buddha, still does not answer, his head splits into 7 pieces there and then. So when a Buddha questions a person for the third time, and still if he does not answer, then what happens? His head will be split into 7 pieces. That's the karma that happens. It is not something Buddha wishes upon that person. Because of the greatness of the Buddha, his qualities, his pure life, when you are questioned by a Buddha upon for a third time and still you do not answer, there creates a karma that your head will be split into 7 pieces. So Buddha said, so speak up. Now is not the time to be silent. So the Blessed One saw the thunderbolt wielding spirit, and so did Satchaka, the Niganta's son. So because of that karma, what happens is a spirit, a yakka, appears above the Buddha and Satchaka. And he is holding it's like what you call in Sinhala, we say yagada. I think in English, the closest thing you have is mace. Maybe there's a long stick, and the end of the stick, there is a spike, there is an iron ball with spikes on it. So it's a weapon.
That's a mace.
Yeah, that's a mace. So this Yakka, the name of the Yakka is Vajrapani. He appeared in the air, and only Buddha and Saccaka can now see this Yakka. The other people gathered there, the Lichavis, they can't see. So now Saccaka is scared. So because he is the one who is going to split his head into 7 pieces by hitting with the mace. So now scared, seeking the shelter of Buddha, because it says here then Saccaka was frightened, alarmed, and terrified. And seeking refuge in Blessed One, he said, "Ask me, Master Gautama, I will answer." He says, okay, ask me again and I will give you the answer. Because now he is scared for his life. So Buddha again asks, what do you think, Agivesana, when you say material form is myself? Do you exercise any such power over the material form as to say, let my form be thus, let my form not be thus? Then he says, the truth. No, Master Gautama, I can't exercise control. So Buddha then says, pay attention, Agivesana. Pay attention how you reply. Mind what you say. What you said afterwards does not agree with what you said before. Nor does what you said before agree with what you said afterwards. What do you think, Agivesana, when you say feeling is myself? Do you exercise any power over that feeling as to say, let my feelings be this, let my feelings not be this? No, Master Gautama, I do not exercise any control over my feelings. Do we exercise any control over our feelings? So pleasant feelings, we would like to cling to them. No, if we can do that, because we all crave for happiness. That is the nature of all beings. No one wants to suffer. We all want to be happy. So can we cling to happiness? Do we experience everlasting happiness? No. Whatever happiness we experience, it passes. It passes, it changes. And then we experience suffering. That is the nature of pleasant feelings, unpleasant feelings, neutral feelings. They come and go. Okay? Because they are conditions, things. They arise and they cease. That is the nature of the feeling. But people, when they suffer a lot, what they do? Because they don't understand it is something that is conditioned, they commit suicide, thinking that is the way to get rid of feeling, that suffering. But then you are again reborn because there is craving. The ignorance of the not seeing the reality, that feeling here, this unpleasant feeling, this suffering exists because of a cause, which is craving. Because they don't know, they commit suicide, thinking that is the way to end the unpleasant feeling. So we understand, like, no one has to commit suicide. No, if they can experience control, that if they have control over the suffering, that unpleasant experience, the feeling, no one has to commit suicide. So that is not possible. So that is what he said. Now Buddha says, Agivesana, like what you said afterward does not agree with what you said, because before, in the beginning, what did he say? There is a self. The feeling, that feeling is a self. That is something you can control. Buddha said, now what you say is different to what you said before. That's what Buddha asked here. Then he says, pay attention, Agivesana, pay attention how you reply. What you said afterwards does not agree with what you said before. Nor does what you said before agree with what you said afterwards. What do you think, Agivesana, when you say perception is myself? Do you exercise any power over that perception as to say, let my perception be thus, let my perception not be thus? No, Master Gautama. So now he is forced to say the truth. Then Buddha again says, pay attention, Agivesana, pay attention how you reply. What you said afterwards does not agree with what you say now. So what do you think, Agivesana, when you say volitional formations are myself, do you exercise any power or control over volitional formations? Do you exercise any power or control over consciousness? Do you exercise any power or control over your thoughts? Can you not think certain things? Sometimes there are things that you would like to rather forget, but again and again these things come to your mind. No, it's very difficult to let go of certain thoughts, but we think we can control. According to our environment, according to the contact we comes into contact in the outer world, no, our thoughts change instantly, every moment. So because they are conditions. Thoughts arise because of what? Passapachya chetana, no? Contact, because of contact, there arises volitional formations or thoughts with regard to forms, sounds, tastes, tangibles, smells, and mind objects. There are other thoughts that come and go. So we can't exercise control. There is no self there. That's what Buddha says here. It's the same with regard to consciousness. So then Buddha said, Agivesana, now you see what you said before and now is different. So then Buddha asks, what do you think, Agivesana? Is material form permanent or impermanent? Now he says, impermanent, Master Gautama. Is what is impermanent suffering or happiness? What do you think? If something is impermanent, does it cause suffering or happiness? It causes suffering. So Saccaka answers suffering, Master Gautama. Is what is impermanent, suffering, and subject to change fit to be regarded? This is mine, this I am, this is myself. So if something is impermanent, something is always changing, and there is no self there, that you can't control it, then is it fit to say that it is myself, it is mine? So he answers no. So Buddha we ask with regard to feeling, perception, volitional formations, consciousness. He again and again asks Saccaka, is it permanent or impermanent? He says impermanent. Then is it subject to change or not? He says it's subject to change. Does it cause suffering or happiness? He answers, it always causes suffering. So then is it fit to consider it to be a self, something that you can have control of it? So he said, this is mine, that thing it is mine, myself, I am. So he says, no, Master Gautam, it is not so. So then Buddha says, what do you think, Agivesana, when one adheres to suffering, resorts to suffering, holds to suffering, and regards what is suffering, thus, this is mine, this I am, this is myself. Could one ever fully understand suffering, oneself or abide with suffering, utterly destroyed? So these things, now these are the 5 aggregates of thinking that we are discussing. Form, feeling, perception, volitional formations, and consciousness. So these are all impermanent and they change. Therefore, they cause suffering, not happiness. They cause suffering. Because they are impermanent, because they change, because they cause suffering, we cannot exercise control over them. That is why there is no self. But such things that we do not control, if we cling to them, thinking, these are me, these are mine, these are self, then we are going to suffer. We are clinging to the things, that very things that cause suffering, and we are seeking happiness. Will we ever find happiness in that way? So we cling to our form, we delight in our form, thinking it is permanent. But the true nature of the form is, it is impermanent. So when it changes because of its impermanence, when it gets destroyed over time, then we suffer. Because we are trying to experience happiness from the very things that cause suffering. Thinking they are permanent, we associate and we delight in them, we engage with them, we get attached to them. But this very attachment is the cause of suffering, said the Buddha. We get attached because of our ignorance. What is the ignorance? We have not realized the true nature of the form, true nature of the feeling, true nature of the perception, true nature of the volitional formations, true nature of the consciousness. What is the true nature of the five aggregates of clinging? The true nature is they are conditioned. What is conditioned will then therefore change, because there is a cause supporting condition that brings about the result. When the supporting condition, the causes change, the results also change. So the form is made up of the four elements. When the four elements change, the form changes. Feeling is born of contact. When contact change, the present, unpleasant, neutral feeling change. Perception again is born of contact. When contact change, perception change. So you might have had a different perception of your boyfriend, a girlfriend, your husband or wife before. You may have loved them before, now you are married, still you hate them. Because it's not the same person you believe them to be. That's why people divorce. So why marry if you divorce down the road? Because the perception of that person has changed. It is not the person you thought him or her to be. Because perception changes, there is suffering. That is because of that suffering, then you divorce. Like that perception changes. Even see the way you perceived your own body, how it changes. That the body you perceive to be of certain way over time, when you age, it changes. But there are times people still try to cling to this perception of their body. I know of an incident where there was a very beautiful woman, but she got a cancer. She fell ill, and when the cancer spreads, she had a cancer in the brain cancer, I think. Somehow when the cancer swells up, your whole, because it was in her brain, it affected her face. The eyes bulged out. They like came out. It was like the eyeball was like a balloon. It ballooned out of the socket. And totally, you can't even look at that face. She was once very beautiful. But now, no one could look at her even. But still, by her bedside in the hospital, she would keep a photo when she was so beautiful in the past and look at that from time to time and try to cling to that perception that is no longer there, that has become impermanent. She's still clinging to a former self because she believes in a self still, because she doesn't understand the reality. How sad it is, no? We all, until we understand this reality of this life, the five aggregates of clinging, we all suffer. That is why the only way to overcome suffering is to realize the teachings of the Buddha, realize this impermanence of life, the suffering, the non-self. I remember one of my teachers, like who taught us, uh, later on when we were out of school, we heard that he had also uh, got a cancer and he was in hospital. And we wanted to see him, and we were told like he's in this bed. Likewise, so we went to that place, and we were sitting right there. Like we passed by, and we could not recognize the person because he was very handsome as a teacher, and he was well built, and that is our perception of him. And we was looking for that person, and we went by that bed. We went to the hospital, like he's not there. We couldn't find him until we asked by the name. And the nurse came and showed us the person. The one we had, our perception of that person had total changed. There was a frail figure, like a child even. Whole body had shrunk because of the cancer. You lose your head there. Your whole, like it's like your whole body shivers like into, like you lose all weight. There's a skeleton is left. So it was shocking to see that. So why that perception change? Like we try to hold on to that perception, but we can't. That's the true nature of these things. Consciousness, all the five aggregates, they change. So that is what Buddha asks here. So if we cling to these things because they are impermanent, if we still clings because of our ignorance, then we are going to suffer. So Buddha said, that's what Buddha said. That being so, do you not adhere to suffering, short to suffering, hold to suffering, and regard to what is suffering? This is my desire, this is myself. And he said, yes, I too, Master Gautama, cling to things, the very things that cause suffering, thinking there is a self in them. So he agrees that he is also deluded. He had a wrong view with regard to these things. So then Buddha gives a nice example. He says, it is as though a man needing hard truth, seeking hard truth, wandering in search of hard truth, were to take a sharp axe and enter the wood. And there he would see a large plantain trunk. You know plantain trees? So plantain trunk, straight young, with no fruit but core. Then he would cut it down at the root, cut off the crown, and unroll the leaf seeds. But as he went on unrolling the leaf sheets, he would never come even to any sapwood, let alone hardwood. Because in a plantain tree, there is no sapwood or hardwood. Just uh, leaf seeds are there. Just coverings, no? Around the trunk. You can just peel it off again and again, but still you will not find an hardwood. So to Aggyvesana, when you are pressed, questioned and cross-questioned by me about your own assessment, your own view, you turn out to be empty. You turn out to be vacant and mistaken, just like a plantain tree without hardwood. But it was you who made this statement before the Vesali assembly. What statement? I see no recluse or Brahmin, the head of an order, the head of a group, the teacher of a group, even one claiming to be accomplished and fully enlightened, who would not shake, shiver, and tremble and sweat under the armpits if he were to engage in debate with me. You said so, didn't you? Even if I were to engage in a senseless posting debate, it would shake, shiver, and tremble if it were to engage in debate with me. So, what shall I say of a human being? So, Buddha is asking Satyaka, didn't you say in this way? Didn't you brag of yourself in this way among an assembly? Now there are drops of sweat on your forehead, Satyaka, and they have soaked through your upper robe and fallen to the ground. Now he is sweating profusely, Satyaka. But there is no sweat on my body, said the Buddha. And he reveals his skin. It says here, Blessed One uncovered his golden colored body before the assembly. Maybe Buddha, he just he showed his body a bit. He had golden skin, no Buddha? Why did Buddha have golden skin? As I remember, he never got angry in his past life. He never harbored anger. During his samsaric journey as a bodhisattva, when he was fulfilling the perfections to be a Buddha, he never got angry. Therefore, because of that merit, he had a golden skin. He got the golden skin, as I remember. So, and he saw the group. Now all the Satyaka and the 500 literary all could see what's happening. Niganta is sweating. Like his garments, even his cloth was soaked in sweat. Whereas the Buddha, he was not sweating. When this was said, Satyaka sat silent, dismayed, with shoulders drooping and head down, glum and without response. There was nothing he could say. Then there was a person among the group of people, the Lichavis. His name was Durmaka. Durmukha means it means a person with a foul mouth. Okay, that means whatever he say, he would say something that is not proper. Okay, so this is what he says. The son of the lich is seeing Saccaka in such a condition, said to the Blessed One, a simile occurs to me, Master Gautama, a simile occurs to me, he said, Dulmukha. The Buddha says, explain what is the simile, Dulmukha, you may say. Suppose, Venerable Sir, not far from a village or town, there was a pond with a crab in it. And then a party of boys or girls went out from the town or village to the pond, went into the water and pulled the crab out of the water and put it on dry land. So they take the crab out of the pot and put it on dry land. And whenever the crab extended the leg, these children, they cut it off. They broke it and smashed it with the sticks and stones, so that the crab with all its legs cut off, broken and smashed, would be unable to get back to the pond as before. So to all Saccaka, his contortions, writhings and vacillations, all his views, opinions, they are all being cut off, broken and smashed by the Blessed One. And now he cannot get near the Blessed One again for the purpose of debate. He will no longer be able to debate with the Blessed One because all his view, opinions have been smashed. Okay? Because now he is speechless. When this was said, Saccaka told Durmukha, he was upset. Okay, Saccaka, he says, wait, Durmukha, wait. We are not speaking with you. Here we are speaking with Master Gautama. So you shut up. So he was like humiliated among all this because he dragged 500 liters to show his prowess in front of the Buddha. Whereas the reverse happened. So let be Master Gautama, that talk of then he says, Saccaka says, let it be Master Gautama, that talk of ours and of other ordinary recluses and Brahmins, we'll leave them aside. What I believe and what other Brahmins believe, we will leave all that aside. It was mere prattle. They are just useless, pointless talk, opinions. Now he is himself denouncing those views and opinions. He said they are just prattle. I think, but in what way is a disciple of Master Gautama, one who carries out his instruction, who responds to his advice, who has crossed beyond doubt, become free from perplexity, gain integrity, and become independent of others in the teacher's dispensation. That means the person become independent in the teachings when he becomes stream mentor. Okay? So such a person here aggravates any kind of material form. So how does he think with regard to the five aggregates? That's the question. So Buddha says here aggravates any kind of a material form. So this is how we have to train ourselves as disciples of the Buddha. Our thinking process. Here aggravates any kind of material form, whatever, whether past, future or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near. The disciple of mine sees all material form as it actually is with proper wisdom. How? This way. This is not mine. This I am not. This is not myself. That is how we are supposed to see form. You have to think it what? Whether it can be internal, it can be external. It can be gross or subtle, inferior or superior, near or far. It can be a form of the past, form of the future, or the present. So when we have to, this is something important that you have to keep in mind with regard to the five aggregates of clinging. When we talk about form, made up the four elements, it is always about beings form. That means it is animate. What are inanimate forms you found in the world? These chairs, the tables, the trees, the rocks, they are all inanimate. When we say form with regard to the five aggregates of clinging, it is always the form made up of the four elements. So internal means this your body. External means other people's, other humans, other devas, brahmas, those beings, animals. ghosts, hell beings. So they have all forms. All those forms are made up of what? The four elements. So they are all conditioned. They have the same characteristics. Characteristics. Okay. So all these forms, whether it's internal, external, whether it can be of past, future, or present, because sometimes uh, you can now think of the past, and if you think of the past, what do you think of yourself? It is also you have to think of a form. Thinking of the past means you would also think of a past form, a past feeling, a past perception, a past volitional formation, or past consciousness. Does your thoughts of past consist of anything else other than these five? No. A form, a feeling, perception, a volitional formation, or consciousness. It is the same with regard to the future, and also the same with regard to the present. And they are all impermanent, subject to suffering and not self. And the feeling also, any kind of feeling, whatever, any kind of perception, any kind of volition, any kind of consciousness, whatever, past, future, or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, near or far, a disciple of mine sees all these five aspects of the five aggregates of clinging as it actually is with proper wisdom. This is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. It is in this way that the disciple of mine is one who carries out my instruction. And then, when he has crossed beyond doubt, become free from perplexity, gain intrepidity, and become independent of the teacher's dispensation. Once you have understand the impermanence of the five aggregates of clinging, their changing nature, and that you cannot actually exercise control over them, that understanding, that realization makes you independent. When you become a stream entrant, you have entered the stream, and you are the guarantee that within 7 births at most, you will fully realize the Four Noble Truths and totally give up the craving, attachment towards the five aggregate of clinging. That is why it's said you become independent, because you possess right view. Right view is you know impermanent things to be impermanent, things cause suffering to be suffering, things that are non-self to be non-self, things are that are foul to be foul. You know that with wisdom. Okay. Then Buddha says, then Saccaka speaks. He says, Master Gautama, in what way is a bhikkhu an arahant? So now he asks of an arahant with taints destroyed, one who has lived the holy life, done what had to be done, laid down the burden, reached his own goal, destroyed the fetters of we, and is completely liberated through final knowledge. He asks of an arahant. How does arahant he give up all attachment and attain liberation, attain nibbana? That's the question. So Buddha says here, Agivesana, any kind of material form, whatever, whether it is past, future, or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, near or far, a bhikkhu has seen all material form as it actually is with proper wisdom. This is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. And through not clinging, he is liberated. So in the case of Arahant, there is no clinging to the five aggregates. Therefore, they are fully liberated. Any kind of feeling, they are fully liberated from the five aggregates. That is why the Arahants are called Ohita Bharo. So if you cling to the five aggregates, it means you are clinging, you are carrying a burden. There's another sutta that is called the Bhara Sutta. So in that sutta, Buddha says like this, okay? Because I will teach you the burden, the carrier of the burden, the taking up of the burden, and the laying down of the burden. So in the Bhara Sutta, it's a small sutta. In that sutta, Buddha says, because I will teach you of the burden, the carrier of the burden, the taking up of the burden, and the laying down of the burden. And what bhikkhu is the burden? It should be said, because the burden is the five aggregates of clinging. That is the burden we have. We have to see it as a burden, not as a thing from which we derive pleasure. That is our ignorance. So it is why Buddha here says, I will teach you the burden of life. The burden of life is the five aggregates of clinging. Then who is the carrier of the burden? Carrier of the burden is the person. Because there is a person, we are all people. So we are the carriers of this burden. So what does it mean, the taking up of the burden? So the person, we carry this burden with us. What does that mean? What bhikkhu is the taking up of the burden? It is this craving that leads to renewed existence, accompanied by delight and lust, seeking delightful here and there, delight here and there. That is craving for sensual presence, craving for existence, craving for extermination. This is called the taking up of the burden. So craving is the burden. If you crave for the five aggregates of clinging, then you have taken up the burden. As long as you cling to the five aggregates of clinging, then you are ready to take this burden and to continue in this samsaric journey. And what we do is the laying down of the burden. Then it is the giving up the craving. So if you give up your craving, your desire for the five aggregates of clinging, then you have laid down the burden. Because five aggregates of clinging means suffering. Sankitena panchupadanakkhandha dukkha. It's a suffering, it's a burden. Then you have laid down the burden. As long as you cling, you are carrying the burden. So in the case, that is why we say, in the case of Arahant, we say ohita bharo. That means the Arahants, they have thrown away the burden. They have laid down the burden. The Buddha said, the five aggregates are truly burdens. The burden carrier is the person. Taking up the burden is suffering in the world. Laying the burden down is blissful. Having laid the heavy burden down without taking up another burden, having drawn out craving with its fruit, one is free from hunger, fully quenched. Who are they? The Arahants. They are free of this burden. They no longer carry the burden of the five aggregates of clinging. So they are in this way free from the five aggregates of clinging. So next, when a bhikkhu's mind is in this way liberated, in the case of Arahant, he possesses three unsurpassable qualities. What? Unsurpassable vision, unsurpassable practice, and unsurpassable deliverance. That he gains. When a bhikkhu is in this way liberated, he honors, respects, and reveres and venerates the Blessed One, the Tathagata. So how does the Arahant, the bhikkhu, venerate the Buddha? The Blessed One is enlightened and he teaches the Dhamma for the sake of enlightenment. That is why Buddha is unique. He first got enlightened himself. Then he teaches the Dhamma so that others also can become enlightened by practicing that teaching. The Blessed One is tamed and he teaches the Dhamma for taming oneself. So he first became tame and he taught the Dhamma so others also can tame themselves. The Blessed One is at peace and he teaches the Dhamma for the sake of peace. The Blessed One has crossed over and he teaches the Dhamma for crossing over. The Blessed One has attained Nibbana and he teaches the Dhamma for attaining Nibbana. You would not find any other teacher with such qualities. It is having realized and experienced he teaches so that his disciples can also for themselves realize the same experience, same Nibbana, same results just as he did in this very life. When this soul said, Saccaka replied, Master Gautama, we were bold and impudent in thinking we could attack Master Gautama in debate. So now we have come to see the reality. We were impudent. We were so foolish to think that we could debate with the Blessed One. A man might attack a mad elephant and find safety, yet he could not attack Master Gautama and find safety. Now see how his similarities have changed, no? Now he is all for the Buddha. A man might attack a mad elephant and find safety, yet he could not attack Master Gautama and find safety. A man might attack a blazing mass of fire and find safety, yet he could not attack Master Gautama and find safety. A man might attack a terrible poisonous snake and find safety, yet he could not attack Master Gautama and find safety. We were born and impudent in thinking we could attack Master Gautama in debate. We were wrong to think in that way. So then he says, let the Blessed One, together with the Sangha of bhikkhus, consent to accept tomorrow's meal from me. So he invites the Buddha and the monks for dana. So the Blessed One consented in silence. So Buddha accepts in silence. So see the change in Saccaka. That is why Buddha we say, Anuttaro Pusa Dhamma Sarthi. Buddha is the peerless trainer of people to be tamed. No one was more skilled in taming another being than the Buddha. So Saccaka was tamed in this manner. He came to Buddha to debate. But that is the quality of these people at the time of the Buddha. They were easily able to give up their own views. And they were able to become humble in face of the truth. No? When they were taught what is actually the truth, they had the quality of humility to accept that with humility. Nowadays, we don't find these qualities in people. So they are conceited that they are to such an quality, such an extent, so very ignorant that they don't open themselves to the truth. So they lose out on this opportunity, therefore. And they find it difficult to give up their own views. So if a person is of that nature, we say duppati nissagga, where some people find it difficult to let go of certain things. They are so very attached to things. It can be opinion, view, or anything else. So they find it difficult to let go. So for them, the practice is a bit hard. It's difficult. So, but still everyone has to try. So in this way, he was able to give up his own views, and he was now fond. He loved, he had certain fond, please. He was pleased of the Buddha. Therefore, he invited the Buddha and Sangha for alms to his house the next day. So Buddha accepted. Then, knowing that the Blessed One had consented, Saccaka then addressed the Lichavis, the gathering that was there, and said, hear me, Lichavis, the recluse Gautama, together with the Sangha of good bhikkhus, has been invited by me for tomorrow's meal. You may bring me whatever you think would be suitable for him. So you can also bring things and offer to me, so I can use them for my almsgiving ceremony. Then when the night had ended, the Lichavis brought 500 ceremonial dishes of milk rice as gifts of food. Then Saccaka had good food of various kinds prepared in his own park, and had the time announced to the Blessed One, it is time, Master Gautama, the dana is ready. Then it being morning, the Blessed One dressed and taking his bowl and outer robe, he went with the Sangha of bhikkhus to the park of Saccaka. Saccaka and sat down on the seat made ready. Then with his own hands, Saccaka served and satisfied the Sangha of bhikkhu headed by the Buddha with the various kinds of good food that he had prepared. So then he offered dana in that way to the Buddha and monks with his own hands. When the Blessed One had eaten and put his bowl aside, Saccaka took a low seat, sat down at one side and said to the Blessed One, Master Gautama, may the merit and the great meritorious fruits of this act of giving be for the happiness of the givers. So he wants all the people who had offered food for this event, for it to make possible to give the dana. He wanted all of them to have the merits of this act. Then Buddha said, Agivesana, whatever comes about from giving to a recipient such as yourself, one who is not free from lust, not free from hate, not free from delusion, that will be for the givers. And whatever comes about from giving to a recipient such as myself, one who is free from lust, free from hate, free from delusion, that will be for you. Because the Lichavis didn't give to the Buddha, they gave to the Saccaka. So they will not reap the same benefits as Saccaka did, because Satya offered to the Buddha, because he had so much confidence and faith and love towards the Buddha. But it seems the Lichavis, they respected the Saccaka and therefore they offered the food to the Buddha, so to the Saccaka, so they wouldn't have the same benefits. Had they given to Saccaka with the mindset, may this be offered to the Buddha, may this be for the Buddha, then they would of course have they could share the merits. But in this case, that was not the case. That's why Buddha emphasized that fact. Because they gave to you, they will have the merits of giving to a person with greed, lust, and delusion. Saccaka. He was not free of greed, lust, and delusion. But in your case, you gave to me, the Buddha, the Tathagata, who is free from all these defilements. Therefore, he would acquire a lot of merits, unsurpassable merits, by giving to the Buddha. So that's where the sutta ends. So didn't we learn about the qualities of the Buddha in this sutta? We did. Did we learn the Dhamma? We did. Didn't we learn about the nature of the Sangha, the Arahants? How they were free of the five aggregates of clinging, the attachment, their realization of it? No? How they had given up this burden, this craving? We learn, no? That is why when we learn the suttas, we grow in confidence toward the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. But like if you again revert to the normal lifestyle of yours and forget thinking of the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha until the next Dhamma program, it's your loss. That doesn't mean you are a true disciple of the Buddha. That doesn't mean you have aligned your body, speech, and mind in a way that will bring about birth in the heavenly worlds. It's not easy, as I said in the beginning, to be reborn among the heavenly beings, because that should be our goal. Because if you are born even in the Himal world, you are lost. You know, this time we are very fortunate that it's quite unbelievable that the Buddha arose in this, like Buddha arose like 2,564 years ago, like close to that. So like say, but see, now even then, normally when after the lifespan, when it is say at most 120 years, thereafter Buddha does not arrive when the lifespan decline below that level. So he arose in the very late stage. No, when Buddha arose in the world, the lifespan of a human being was 120. When it drops below, Buddhas do not arise in this world because people are so overwhelmed by defilement state. So it was the last moment. It's remarkable that the Buddha arose in this world in such circumstances. But now rapidly people are declining. When people decline in qualities, when they decline in lifespan, and gradually, if we were born again in the human world, things will be much worse, and there will be no chance of doing good deeds, because the monks would not be there, no dispensation, there is no talk of right and wrong, only enjoying sensual pleasure. You will accrue more and more demerits, and again be born in the hell worlds for sure. So your only solution, your only refuge, your only chance, opportunity is to be born among the devas. If you are born there, then you have a chance to associate with noble friends, to learn the teachings of the Buddha, because there are devas who actually saw the Buddha themselves, who learned the suttas from the Arahants, who gave dana to the Arahants. And they have huge confidence in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. And there are many devas who have attained fruits of the path. So all they talk of is Dhamma. of the qualities of the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and they venerate and respect the Buddha. So you get again a chance to practice the Dhamma in a Patirupa Desa Vasutta. That means an environment conducive to the practice manifolds better than the human world. And when you are born as a Deva, if you practice by the Dhamma, you will be born as a wise Deva. Then you will not be overwhelmed by the sensual pleasures you find in Devas. Or else then again you will fall into danger of being overwhelmed by the sensual pleasures. If you develop wisdom here and now, if you see this impermanence of these all things that are conditioned, then you are safe. You will be born as a wise Deva and you will have another chance, a very good opportunity to realize the teachings of the Buddha in this Gautama Buddha dispensation. So may we all have that good fortune to realize the Buddha's teachings in this Gautama Buddha's dispensation itself. Sadhu, sadhu. Okay, any questions? I think today's sutta was not difficult to understand, no?
Bante, one question here. Do you think that this what's his name? Such a yeah, this debater, yeah, all of these years of his conceitedness, you know, he's very arrogant. He wants to be the best, and he wants to control others. Will he still be facing the consequences of his conceitedness, even though at the latter part he met Buddha, and then he actually did something good for Buddha, you know, by offering? Will he still face the consequences of the past?
Yeah, the nature of the karma you create is like once you act by body, speech, of mind, then the karma is created, of course. So then you have to suffer the consequences. But if you wholeheartedly go for refuge to the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and you take up the practice, then what you do is you create again a new karma, like practice the Noble Eightfold Path by practicing samatha, vipassana, all that, this thinking pattern of impermanence, to contemplate about the five aggregates of clinging, the four elements, and this thought process. Again, when you contemplate upon these factors, then again you are creating karma. And that karma can actually eradicate all the karma, the bad deeds you have done in the past. That is why when you become stream entered, you eradicate all the karma that may have borne fruit to, let's say you are born in the four bad destination. That will not happen. All that karma is eradicated when you become a stream entered. So likewise, gradually when you progress in the
Oh, I
path,
see.
you can gradually eradicate all the karma. That is why with regard to the and Arahant, they have eradicated all the karma, and there is no arranging of new karma. That is why they are not reborn again. There is no arranging of new karma, means there is no bhava, a new existence. No bhava means there is no jati or rebirth. It's not there. So that's how it comes about. So in this case, if we right his wrongs and if we diligently practice the Noble Eightfold Path, then that karma, he can eradicate that. Even still say, like, say, if a person say practice loving kindness, mind imbued in loving kindness, that his this practice of loving kindness can suppress whatever wrong deeds you have done in the past, because that meritorious act, that karma becomes more powerful in that person's life, and the mind becomes broad. So when you have a broad mind, those karma, the things that you may have done in the past, they don't get a chance to bear fruit here and now. So that safety is there, that assurance is there if you begin to practice the Dhamma diligently. Okay.
Yes, but if a layman person, like an ordinary person, I mean, they don't go into enter into stream entry. So the past that they did, So is there a possibility that what they're doing right now, the good deeds, can offset from the past?
Offset in the sense, like say, if you practice loving kindness in that way, as I said, if you dwell in loving kindness, in the sutta it says you can suppress. Okay, doesn't mean that
Decrease.
that doesn't mean it is like totally. You don't create an environment because the merits, the good acts are so very powerful that sort of suppress the things you have done in
Suppress.
the past. If then you do not regret, you have no remorse, then you can progress. Okay, that's how. Unless
Thank you,
there's no
Bante.
guarantee, like you will never ever that karma will not bear fruit until you progress in the path with fruits of the path. You have to achieve them. Okay, or else that karma will one day, even in another life, bear fruit. You never know.
Thank you, Bante.
Yeah. And also there are certain cases, in some cases when say you have done a bad deed in the past. I remember a case where I think as I remember, Anuruddha Sangha, his sister, she had a skin disease because of a past karma. I don't quite remember what it was, bad karma. Anyhow, because of that, so no matter what treatment you did, they could not cure. So Anuruddha Sangha say, uh, he gave a solution that all the jewelries he had, because he had, as I remember, insulted a Pachika Buddha or something like that. Anyway, all the jewelries she sold them, and from the money she gained by selling the jewelry, she painted a stupa, as I remember. And the moment the day she did that, the skin disease was cured because that karma sort of nullified that bad karma. So that is possible. Okay, that is also there. Okay, with regard to karma, that powerful merits can suppress your bad karma. So you have to do the correct opposite thing, but uh, we can't figure it out. Like say, if you have weak eyesight, by maybe donating spectacles to others, by helping people who are sick, who have like to buy lenses or whatever. No? Likewise, you can help out, and that helps you to improve your eyesight. Those things are there. Okay, you do the opposite. Likewise. So, like say, if a person gets sick a lot, okay, that means in his past life he has hurt living beings. Therefore, now today is suffering. So now he has to suffer because of that karma. So all he can do is to practice what you call karuna, compassion. Avihimsa vitarka, like thoughts of non-harm, you have to practice. That is the only solution there. Like you practice the opposite, the good. In this way, you can suppress the bad things you have done in the past. Okay, but that karma is there. Okay, sometimes you can suppress the karma. Anyone else? Okay, no questions. No, I'll stop then. Okay, so may all the merits today we have gained myself by teaching of the Dhamma, yourself learning and listening and discussing the Dhamma, be shared with all the Devas and the Brahmas of the world, and may they to realize the Four Noble Truths in this Gautama Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And may also this merit be shared with all our long lost relatives in this life and all the past lives. These relatives, whatever life they are born, they are in, may they rejoice in these merits and experience happiness and be free from suffering in that life. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And may also these merits be shared with our teacher, Most Venerable Kinibakura Jnanananda Dev, and also all the monks of the Mahavina monastic order, and may they too realize the Four Noble Truths in this Gautama Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And may also these merits be for all of us, also our parents, our teachers, our loved ones, our relatives, And may we all have the good fortune to align our actions by body, speech, and mind with the teachings of the Buddha and live a honest life by the teachings of the Buddha, contemplate upon the qualities of the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, and live a meritorious life, acquire more and more merit, and progress in the noble path, and be reborn in the heavenly worlds and realize the Four Noble Truths in this Gautama Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, say with me. Kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katam. Acchayan kamame bhanti bhuri panya tathagata. Kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katam. Acchayan kamame dhamma sanditthika akalika. Kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katam. Acchayan kamame sangha punyaketang anuttara. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, now this moment to pay respect to the Bhante and share merits as said. So get on your knees and repeat after me. Okasa vandami bhante maya katam punyan samina anumoditabang samina katam punyan mayandatabang sadhu sadhu anumodami okasa dwaratina katam sabbang acchayan kamtami bhante okasa kamami bhante Dutiyampi okasa kamami bhante Tatyampi okasa kamami bhante. May you all have the good fortune to realize the Four Noble Truths in this Gautama Buddha's dispensation. Namo Buddhaya. Tedwan Saranai.
Namo Buddhaya.